Good morning, everyone. It is America's Supermom, and I am on here talking about the importance of reflection and understanding your own purpose and what it is that you would like to do for and in the lives of other people. My source of strength comes from my acknowledgement and belief in the Lord and Jesus, who I believe is my Savior. I believe my direction, opportunities, just everything as to where I am today are guided by my belief in that fact, and opportunities are available for me if I choose to take part in them. So much in life, I think, is related to what we choose. I have been the product of 13 years of depression and 3 hospitalizations. So I ponder now, looking back and reflecting, how this happened. What were some of the signs? Why didn't I see the pattern? And I believe in my life I was guided by the desire to be a blessing to other people, have goals that were achievable, desiring to show up in life in a way that helped other people. So some of these traits I believe were good, but they were at the expense of my own well-being. It was as if the more I did for others, the more I thought I would receive something back. So it's like, we have giving and receiving that takes place. But with that arrangement, belief, things were just not in alignment. It's like going for a shiny object that you can see, feel, touch. It's right in your reach, but it's controlling you rather you controlling it. So any of the things usually that we desire are outside of us. They are usually, now they can be like relationships, people, or, things that are byproducts of what it is that we desire. For example, you may desire to get married, but that whole journey to being married, it takes 2 people being focused on the same goal, not one person having this desire and sometimes ignoring their own needs in order to create this fantasy, right? And so we really have to be careful and really examine, why are we doing the things that we do? What really is driving us? What really is our purpose? Because I believe your purpose is what wakes you up. It's what allows you to have clarity, wisdom, knowledge, understanding. So many things, so many traits are a byproduct of purpose because you know where you're going. If I'm traveling to overseas, to Europe, and someone is, calling me, blowing up my phone, sending me emails and everything about me going to Australia, and I'm headed to Europe, I'm not even going to be moved by that because that's nowhere near what my destination is going to be. So what we often do is we say, oh, okay, I'm traveling They're traveling, so we have like-minded interests. So on the surface, it looks good. Yeah, they have to get on a plane. I have to get on a plane. But in reality, we're going different places. So when we begin to kind of know our purpose, we ask different questions that will help us on our journey of knowing that everything at a buffet is not something that we like to eat, desire to eat, or even is going to sustain us. You know, you have buffets at different restaurants where you go up and you, well, I don't know how it is now because I haven't been out, with the global pandemic that we're dealing with right now. That is something that's kind of, definitely, I don't think that's something that's available. But the concept is, you have all these different foods, vegetables, desserts. So anything goes on the buffet. But people who have experienced life, they understand nutrition, they realize that they can't just go to that buffet and eat all the dessert nonstop, to unlimited capacity and believe that that is going to sustain them. So there's certain things that we have learned over time. The best thing that I would summarize this with is when we have wisdom, we understand that we can choose to do a lot of things. I can choose to stay up late and work tirelessly to get things done. However, there's a consequence to that action the next morning if I didn't get enough rest, if I wasn't in a space of clarity because I didn't get a good night's sleep, if my mood wasn't right because I didn't get enough sleep. So allowing myself to be susceptible to somebody else's plan or purpose can happen when we lose sight of what it is that we're doing and we give that control over to others. So wisdom comes back to, I can decide to stay up as long as I want to. But when you look at your life, your choices, your purpose, you recognize you have the power to do something, but you choose to refrain from certain things because you're looking long term as to what your goals are, and you're deciding to forego certain actions, certain people, certain routines, because you realize down the road that those things are not going to serve you. They are going to be nothing but hindrances, burdens, distractions as you travel on the road of where you desire to go. So I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to get on briefly to just have this time of reflection. As we meditate and think about the life that we desire, we have the power to obtain that life. However, it's all based on what we choose to do in creating that life. So, as a Christian, I believe, hey, all things are possible. If you dream something, you can make that dream a reality. You can manifest it based on the choices that you decide to take part in. However, it doesn't come easy. It's not by accident, coincidence. It's based on the choices that you choose or not choose to take part in. So many a times we struggle with patterns, routines that are in our life, but we are allowing these things to take place. I'm really in deep reflection as I am 89 days away from being 50, half a century. And, what do I have to show for it? Is the question I ask. What am I doing differently? How have I evolved? Where do I want to go? What more evolutions do I want to make? What legacy do I want to leave to my children, to my clients, my coworkers, or, just in general in this world? What footprint do I desire to leave? And this is a question that helps me to be intentional, with the time that I spend doing a Facebook Live or helping one of my children with their homework or, even disciplining them, for something that they are not doing that they should be doing. There is that element of having information and, how are you choosing to share it? One of the things that I just live my life by is learning and doing. So you learn something, you do it. You learn something, you do it. Another element that I add to that is you share it. You learn, do, share. So as I learn something new, I practice something new, then I share it with other people, for them to modify it, change it, and take part of it in a way that serves them, in a way that aligns with their purpose, because we're all different and everyone is not going to have the same outlook, have the same goals. We're different, and we should be able to explore our differences and be happy in our differences. So I hope that made sense for everybody. So I just want to conclude in just the simple fact that wisdom is, even though we can do what we want to do, we have a choice to say, to be, to go with a lot of these things that are going on around us in our life, etc. But it's the wisdom to choose to refrain from things that don't serve you and to do things that will get you closer on that journey of where you desire to be. No one is stopping you. No one is telling you what to do. It's that inner voice that leads you. But are you listening? Are you more concerned with all the outward distractions and people who are leading you that don't know internally what your makeup is and what your desires are and what your purpose is? How can somebody lead and guide someone when they don't know a lot of those answers? And I ask that question because a lot of times we don't know them for ourselves, but we allow other people to impart their beliefs and what they feel we're called or created to do, and they don't know themselves for their own life. So how are they going to teach you? So today, don't take for granted your own intuition, your own inner voice that leads you in the way of your purpose. Connect with people that resonate with the journey of being better versions of themselves, that appreciate who you are and your differences and value your input and challenge you to be better than you were the day before. So that is all that I have today. I want to thank you guys for listening. And as you go about your day, think about, what mark do you want to leave in this world? How do you choose to show up in your life and the lives of others? Bye for now.